I started dating someone who was a heavy drinker, and I really got into just keeping up with him. And we eventually got married. I made a lot of mistakes in our marriage. I didn't speak up a lot, and the less I spoke, the more I drank. And it just continued to snowball. And we ended up getting a divorce. And in that divorce, I just hit the bottle hard. My mom and my sister very much so tried to intervene. My dad and my stepmom, they had pretty much cut me off. They thought I was a lost cause, because I was causing heartbreak. Dove House was a miracle. My stepmom was delivering dental supplies to the dentist to the front of the building, and Miss Wendy thought that she was making a donation to Dove, and they got to talking, and she said, my daughter is in a really bad place, and Miss Wendy said, let's bring her in for an assessment, and we'll go from there. So it was divine intervention that I ended up at Dove.
When I was 14, there was things that went on in my life that shouldn't happen to anybody. And I didn't speak up about it, and that was that. I just pushed it down. And so a year later, when I drank alcohol, it gives me this feeling and this comfort like no other. Tons of tries of trying to get sober my way. I only have one bottom, and it was an emotional bottom. I actually called Miss Wendy because Miss Wendy gave me, it's not exaggeration to say, like, she gave me 5 opportunities. Like, a bed was open for me to come here, starting in August of 2017. And I would never take the bed because I always wanted to have like one more drink like the night before, and I never make it. I land up in jail again for public intoxication, things like that. When I decided to walk into detox that last time, I knew that I was powerless. And no time before that did I ever know I was powerless. So it all just went together. I'm powerless. My life is unmanageable. Dove House has structure, and like I needed that. Like, dang, I needed that so bad. I didn't even know how much I needed it.
I was abused at home by my mother. Because I was the oldest, I was usually the target of anger. So it was like when I went to school, I was bullied and ridiculed. I had to find another outlet to heal, like make me feel like I wasn't in pain. And so that's when I started using with my friends. My life became unmanageable when I became homeless. I had nowhere to live. I would get myself together, get on my feet. I had children. And they were taken from me because my life became unmanageable again when I was unable to maintain my sobriety and stay off substances. I kept going back to substances as a way to relieve my pain. So when I returned to Dove House in 2015, I had just been released from jail on my own recognizance that morning by the judge, my probation judge. And I walked from the jail downtown to Dove House with the clothes on my back. I didn't have any other clothing, any other belongings, and just showed up. And when I opened the door and the person who was working the desk came up to me and they're like, "Oh my God, how are you?" I just felt safe. And they wrapped their arms around me and they pulled me in for a hug, and I just stood there, and I hadn't had a hug in over a year, I realized. I hadn't had a hug from someone in over a year because I had been using. And people don't hug you in active addiction. No one hugs you. No one loves you. No one gives you any kind of caring intimacy that doesn't exist. And it's the thing that made me want to stay. In that moment, it was exactly what I needed. Like, yes, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be at, with people who care about me, so that I can learn to care about myself, because that's the real problem here.
Dove House has opened doors that I didn't even know existed in my self-confidence, in my faith. I owe everything to Dove House. So I want the opening doors theme, like, I want everyone to know that, just because you have one door may have shut with your active addiction, but so many more doors are going to open as soon as you get on the recovery train.
Dove House sees the potential in us before we ever see it ourselves. So when we walk into the doors of Dove House, we believe we have no potential. All we see for our future is what we've always gotten. And as soon as we stepped through the door, I believe that the women of Dove House saw something different. And they told it to us. They told us women, what we could be.
What I would like to say to the Dove House staff is actually thank you. Please keep doing what you do, because I know that you are good reason. Dove is great reason. It's not the only reason, but Dove is the biggest reason that I'm here today.